What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
James Shu, how are you?
.com. And tonight it's Frozen Fever, baby. And we got, of course, Cinderella.
Yes. Frozen Fever, 7-minute short that is going to hold over audiences until, which officially was announced today, Frozen 2, which will be coming. A lot of announcements today. Also, Star Wars 8 will be debuting in May of 2017. So people are excited and pumped up today. It's a great day to be at the movie theaters. Cinderella, what do you know about the story of Cinderella?
Yo, it's one of the all-time favorite classics of Disney of all time. It got Disney out of the bankruptcy.
Yes, if we flash back to 1950, Disney has not had a hit since Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was in 1937. The company invests $3 million in Cinderella. And according to Disney Insiders, that movie does not become successful at the box office. Disney shuts down. The world is completely different as we know it today.
Yeah, it would have been.
However,
today.
Obviously, the movie is a huge success, and 65 years later, obviously, we're still celebrating it.
Unbelievable. You know, Tim Burton did Alice in Wonderland.
Yes.
Did $1 billion in the box office. I actually wasn't too much of a fan of that, but people loved it, obviously. $1 billion. People loved it. And, holy crap, the most recent one, the live telling.
Maleficent?
Oh, thank you, Maleficent. Maleficent with Angelina Jolie. That was pretty cool. I liked it. And then I love how we have Cinderella now, and then Beauty and Beast was already announced with Emma Watson, who is banging, saying that. And then people are saying that the next one after that's gonna be Little Mermaid. Then we're gonna get Mulan. Give me a Pocahontas. And we're getting Tarzan. I'm pumped, dude.
So how do you feel about these live action? I mean,
it's cool.
Have you seen all the old cartoon?
All of them.
Okay.
All of them.
So how do you feel about these live action remakes? Because most of the time they're not the first.
I love
Most
it.
of the Disney movies have been made in live action multiple times before. This one including. This one's probably been one of the most remade films ever. Adaptations up galore. You love them. You think they're good.
Yeah, I mean, I love Disney. When I have kids one day, they're gonna be forced to watch all Disney films and Pixar films.
Are you gonna make them watch the classics or live action?
Both. I think these are great films.
Okay. My whole thing is I think that the live actions are great retellings, but they are nowhere near as good, obviously, as the original product. And I don't say that to be snide or saying, you know, but there is a beautiful magic in the original animation films that these other films have not been able to capture. I was not, I mean, pretty much every movie that they've done live action in this sense, I was not a fan of Alice in Wonderland. I was probably the one that really kind of put me off. I didn't hate Maleficent. I liked it. I thought it was okay. I didn't have much feeling about it, but again, I don't think either of those films, and I'm sure there's another one that I'm missing, will last 65 years like this animated, you know, Cinderella, or they will last a lifetime. I don't think they have that kind of magic behind them. I think they work, and I think that with the use of special effects, we're able to tell the story a little bit more interesting for a modern audience. But you know, it's kind of funny. It's like they're trying to adapt these stories for a modern audience, but our modern audience still loves those movies. Those movies have been the one thing that stand the test of time. Some people can't watch black and white movies. Some people can't watch old movies. They can still watch Cinderella, and that movie is from 1950. Some people love Snow White, 1937. I mean, that's classic cinema right there. That is original cinema. So those movies have withstood the test of time. These films, however, I don't know if they'll be talking about in 20 years, let alone 65.
You know, for me personally, I don't even care about that whole thing. I think it's like the originals and these new ones are never gonna go away. You know, so if someone wants to watch them, they can. And if you hate the live action, you're always gonna have the original 2D animations. So for me personally, I don't even care about the whole test of time thing and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, I just think that kind of, it's not just a test of time, but I mean, it also kind of argues the content and the quality of something. You know, if something's great, it lasts the test of time. If it's not that great, it doesn't. So, I mean, I think that is a pretty, is it worth it to stick around? Is it something that you'll revisit? I don't know. I mean, if it's something that's okay, I mean, is it worth it?
What are you expecting out of the movie tonight?
You know, I'm expecting a lot of similar, a very similar path of Maleficent, you know, a movie that brings this world to, you know, a very imaginative, visual, computer-generated, you know, world. I'm expecting it to be a little dark. It seems like these live-action movies kind of also follow a Tim Burton-esque, you know, obviously he did Alice in Wonderland, but even Maleficent and Cinderella kind of has that aspect of being a little Tim Burton, a little bit darker tone type film. Kate Blanchett is the one thing that I'm going in here for, rooting for. You know, that's the one thing I think that's going to kind of hold this movie together. But other than that, I'm hoping to find a movie that's magical and great and lovely, and a movie that will withstand another 65 years.
I love it. I'm jacked up because we get to see Elsa and Anna back.
Yes, that's right.
That gets me excited too.
Frozen Fever.
All right, we'll be back in what, 2 hours?
Yeah, about 2 hours, if you include Frozen Fever.
All right. Okay, so we just got out of Frozen Fever and Cinderella. For me, Frozen Fever, awesome. I really enjoyed that short. It was real fun. It was short, 7 minutes. Loved it. And it's great seeing Anna. It was great seeing Elsa. The song was cool, and I liked how they had to throw in the Let It Go. You know, they had to throw that in, and then I loved it. I thought the Frozen Fever was a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people are gonna have a lot of fun with that. For me on Cinderella, I really thought that, so Maleficent, she's the bad guy, everybody knows that, and so they had to twist the story around and turn it into this like anti-hero type of thing. But I thought Cinderella basically was shot by shot. I think that if you like the cartoon Cinderella, you're gonna like this Cinderella. If you didn't like the cartoon Cinderella, I definitely don't think you're gonna like this. I really thought it was basically shot by shot, the same plot line, the same story. They didn't try to change anything, and so I liked it. You know, I mean, I don't think it was. I don't think it was as good as the animation, but that's not to deter and that's not to dumb down this live action either. It was fun visually. I thought it was great. It was beautiful. Nice little world that they created. And I personally just like how they cut. But you know what the thing is with me though, these Disney films, I like them. You know, it's Disney. You know, I just like good messages, movies with good meaning, and you know, I love it. It's fun. And then the little rats, and I love the little greedy one with the cheese, and then finally at the end, I loved it. It was fun. Good movie. Watch it. It's not gonna change your life or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I feel good. It was cool. I don't think it's a waste of money going. Watch it. Cinderella.
I think that, how can I say this? All right, let's I'm trying to break it down in elements. This movie was probably my favorite film to actually bring an animated world to life. I think that this movie was astonishing when it comes to costume design and, set production. I mean, I know we don't really ever really dive into it necessarily when we review movies. We're just kind of talking about main points, but this movie is one of those situations where you can't ignore how beautiful it looks. I mean, the costumes are outstanding.
That dress,
there's one in particular when she's talking to the Sir Duke, or the Duke, that I absolutely love with the hat. But Kate Blanchett totally stole the show. There's not one scene, even with the impeccable, beautiful Cinderella, cannot steal the scene from her. She owns the screen. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was a great retelling. But again, I kind of had that similar situation where it didn't impact me very hard. It didn't make me say, wow, I loved it.
Sure.
I thought it was good. I thought it was definitely worth the watch. If you're a fan, if you're a Disney fanatic, you're going to see this movie.
You're going to like it.
Regardless of what I say, you're going to see it. And you'll probably like it. I liked it. My girlfriend loved it. James liked it. But to me, it wasn't, necessarily a home run. It didn't have that same feeling of watching that 1950 movie. I mean, I'm trying to think of what I could say. There's a lack of true magic. Like, I understand they do their best to recreate the magic, and I'm not talking literal magic about her turning, a pumpkin into a coach and things like that, but there's just that feeling of just kind of wonder that I think that these stories are told better in animation. And again, I can't as you kind of said, you can't really discredit this film for being that, because those films stand on their own, and they are. But having that element of animation, it does bring this magic and wonder that these films kind of, I don't think, have as great as edge on. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it was absolutely wonderful. I did have some issues with it. I thought it did kind of drag a little bit. I think the movie could have been 20 minutes shorter or so. But I mean, it's going to be one that people are going to enjoy.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think it's even fair to. Because I think if you put a little kid and you didn't show them the cartoon and you showed them this, they're gonna love this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like how we like the animation.
Possibly.
It's kind of like if they made the way I look at it is if they made a Back to the Future remake or reboot and they did the same story, basic premise of it, I know I'm already gonna be biased and not gonna like it better. Not to say that you're being biased, not to say that at all, just to say that I think when we're first exposed to something that we like, we don't want to like. It's not okay. And it's not that I'm not saying that you don't want to like it. I'm just saying
source
that
material.
Source we material. Just like the way we saw it, and that's how we want to view it.
That's true. Well,
that's just how I feel.
Okay, I can understand that point, but in that same regard, I lost what I was going to say. What was my point? You're saying that I liked it because.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying people in general.
But
anything in life.
But at the same time, my argument is you said if a kid goes and sees this, they might like it as much. I could argue that maybe a kid won't be able to sit through a 2-hour movie where Cinderella the original was only an hour and 10 minutes. You know, Frozen was under 30 minutes. There is a demographic for kids, and you know, animation is still powerful enough that they're still using it. So. And I have to go back down to the time thing. I think that Cinderella has lasted 65 years for a reason. You know, it's not just because people saw it first. I mean, like I said, there's movies that you wouldn't even watch that are in the 70s and people said are amazing. But there's a reason why Cinderella has been around for 65 years and it is loved by people because it is such a beautiful, magical movie. And again, I don't think this movie will stand the test of time because I think people will forget it and it'll get lost.
But I feel that way. I feel that way only because the first one exists. That's why, because I look at it like.
So you're saying the original Cinderella doesn't exist?
No, I only feel that you can only say that because the first one exists. That's why it's lasting the test of time. It was like if for some reason they made a live action version of this first, I guess.
So if the animation film didn't work, it wasn't existent.
Yeah, and today the animation came out. Today the animation came out.
I think that if it was originally a live action film, people wouldn't watch it. I don't think you would watch it. I think
people just would like the story.
No, because you won't watch Star Wars from 1977. You wouldn't watch a movie from 1950 if it was live action.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm telling you that I think that's why we like things when we first see them. Like this first Star Wars, I like that. Or the episode 1, I know, believe it or not. But I like part 1, 2, and 3, and I won't even watch the old one.
Yeah.
You know, so I think a lot of kids.
But you'll watch an older film in Cinderella.
Only because I saw that already.
So you're saying because you watched it as a child?
Yes, that's the truth. That really is. I only watch it because I saw it already.
I think that
if someone would have showed me Star Wars, I probably would understand why people love A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, and Empire Strikes Back.
If you want to go into actual comparison of play-by-play of why the animated Cinderella I think is better, is because the fact that the 1950 film used music beautifully. I mean, the tagline was a love story with music. I think that was a real lack of, songs and things like that in this movie. I mean, we got Bibbidi Bobbidi Boop, which I thought was nice, but overall and people argue musicals are dead, and I say, did you see Frozen? People still can love musicals.
$1 billion bucks. Hello.
That's one example. Again, time. I think the movie was straight to the point. The original Cinderella, pretty much besides the narration of how her stepmother got into her life and the marriage, the movie happens in a 24-hour span. This movie felt a lot longer and kind of dragged. It had a lot more, they put a lot more in to be a little bit more grown up, and that's not to say that it didn't work, but at the same time I thought it hurt the film and telling the story rather just getting to going, because most people know where we're going already. I think that there could have been things cut out.
What you're saying though is just like the things that you might have had issues with the film, and I'm not even doubting any of that. It did drag, I felt, and I felt it was a little long. I'm surprised that we were gone for 2 hours, but I'm just saying that I guess all I'm saying though at the end of this is that I think that if this is a kid's first, it doesn't even have to be a kid, to be honest. If this is your first exposure to the story of Cinderella because you're like a James Shue guy who won't watch Star Wars because it looks like crap, there are people that just won't watch 2D animation, specifically kids. They don't want to see 2D animation. If they did, they would be making those, I think. The reason why they're doing 3D is because people want to see 3D. The kids want to see that. So I understand what you're saying, because they always argue. If you read the book first, the book's always better than the movie. Yes.
If you see I can see that, but at the same time, I kind of disagree with you that kids aren't in love with 2D because there's still 7-year-olds and 6-year-olds that are dressing up as Cinderella, and we haven't had a live action version of that just yet until right now. But I mean, those movies are still being celebrated, and maybe that is because of, I could see the argument of source material, but overall I've seen both films and by judging them, I think that one is better than the other, and I think, I don't know how much kids are going to like this movie. I don't know how kids are going to take this movie. I don't know if the demographic is children, because I can tell you that, the 1950s was, for whole families, but mostly generated towards kids. This movie, I don't know it's generated for kids, or is it generated for people who've seen the original and want to see something a little bit more grown up.
Yeah, I think that's definitely in there.
So, I don't know how many kids are going to walk out and love Cinderella as much as they would have watching the cartoon.
But they definitely will like Frozen Fever.
Frozen Fever.
I think all kids will love that.
I think Frozen Fever was fun.
I think anyone who liked Frozen will leave watching Frozen Fever and say that was awesome.
It was good. I didn't like it as much as Feast, however.
No, but I don't even think that's a fair comparison. Feast was a whole nother level.
Feast was beautiful.
Feast was a whole nother level.
And to be honest, I think that some of the Toy Story shorts are better. As far as like these these
Oh, the
recapturing
Frozen?
short films. I wouldn't say Frozen was my absolute favorite, but just seeing those characters is a good
No,
feeling.
yeah, no, I agree. Frozen Fever wasn't the best, but I think, like you just said, I think just seeing
the
them
characters
on camera again or on screen again, it was just like
It felt like yeah. It was good to check up on them and see how they're doing. So I'll give you, absolutely. But I mean, it's fun. I think this movie will do well. Obviously, I don't think
Watch it.
any introduction.
Watch it.
But yeah, absolutely, go see it.
ChasingCinema.com/Cinderella, and then you can get the full with the words.
What'd you think about Cinderella, real quick, before we go?
What?
What'd you think about the actress, Lily Taylor?
She was pretty.
Very pretty.
Yeah, she was pretty. She didn't annoy me.
But did you think anyone, like, who's your favorite performance in the movie?
In that movie?
Kate Blanchett? It's hard not to.
Probably, because she was just straight evil. You know, it's like, dude, yeah. Because, you know, like with Maleficent, what they did was they tried to turn her into this, and it was cool how they did it, and I enjoyed Maleficent. It's just that this really stuck to the source. Like, I thought Cinderella, the live action we just saw, really stuck with the source material.
And you know
except for just that ending where that one guy was in on it too.
Yeah.
That was changed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Except for that, everything else wasn't it on point?
Yeah, and it was pretty on point. And to go with your point, though, you know, there was issues with the original cartoon. I mean, I love it, but I can't say there's issues. I mean, if you look at the stepmother,
well, even the idea of the movie's stupid.
Well, no.
If you want to look at it like that.
No, but I buy the movie. But you know, as far as the stepmother, you know, like if you're gonna make more an adult film, I think you should have made her a more complex character. But overall, she's pretty simple. She just is evil. There's one part in the movie where she tries to explain why she's evil, but it doesn't really work. So it's like, I mean, you know, in that, especially that time. Now we could put really deep themes into a kids movie. Obviously, we saw How to Train Your Dragon 2, Up, but back then we didn't really worry about pushing really powerful themes in films. So it's a little bit more understandable that she's just evil and playing the antagonist. But in this movie, she's still kind of the same simple character.
And you know, in this one too, they try to make some sense out of I'm gonna put a spell over them so they don't recognize you.
Yeah.
So little things like that try to make it sense, because I mean, even in reality, I mean, you just put the thing on. I mean, come on, there's no point of doing that whole process. I know that he had to do that for the prince, or king, I guess.
Yeah.
But there was no point in that. In real life, there would be no point in that.
You know, to me, the biggest problem I've always had with Cinderella is I cannot imagine wearing a glass slipper, because all I can think about is how that would hurt your heel.
That would really hurt wearing glass.
I mean, that has to hurt. I've never seen any of the versions of glass slippers I've seen ever seem comfortable. But anyway.
Description box, like and follow. Chasing Cinema. Only way to do it. 7 days from today, ready to get jacked up, fired up, motivated, and passionate, because we have part 2 of the Divergent series, Insurgent.
It's gonna be a
Shailene
mouthful.
Woodley is killing it.
Yes.
You know,
Miles
she's doing
Teller.
very well.
I'm actually excited to see Miles Teller because he's left me on such a good note with Whiplash.
Because of Whiplash?
Yeah. But
I don't like what he said though. How he's like, I don't even like these movies, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it's like if someone.
I saw the trailer today. We watched the trailer for it. I don't know if it was in the theater. Or I watched it at home. But he's kind of like, immediately he says something, and I'm like, oh, he already kind of reminds me of that smut character that I didn't like before in all the other films. But
you know, he said that about Divergent, right?
Yeah, we talked about this before. You were telling me.
See, it's like, dude, if you're getting paid $1 million for anything, you don't have to badmouth them. I don't like that.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, it's like too snot. I don't like that.
Maybe, you know, he's
Whiplash, he was bomb.
Maybe
I'm not gonna
he's
say
saying that so no other people are like, hey, you want to do this book series? He's just like, I want to do great film. Not saying that this film can't
talk
be
to
good.
him. He has a freaking manager.
Did you like it, Divergent? I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
okay,
Divergent's awesome. All these YA films.
I liked Maze Runner more than I liked Divergent.
No, I don't
thought
know.
Maze Runner was really.
They're both
intriguing.
really good though. I like these YA movies. I don't care what anyone says.
Like, I know there's been a lot about the talk, and I believe some photos released from Maze Runner 2. I'm excited for that. Where this one, I'm just kind of going in like, because I wasn't crazy about Divergent. Anyway, we'll be here either way. If I'm excited or I'm not excited, either way.
Or I'm not excited or I'm excited. We're gonna be here anyway.
We'll be here, yes.
At AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema, who is the Film Lovers
website.